Mount St. Helen blows its top on this date. Welcome back to On This Date. Today's date is May 18th, 2023. It is the 130th day of the year. There are 227 days left in 2023. It's the 20th Thursday in the 20th week in the 60th day of spring. You got 34 days left until summer. Unless you're here in Oregon, then it's pretty much summer right now. It is sweltering outside, and this is going to be a very short video because the air conditioning is not keeping up with the heat. Today is National Electronic Greeting Card Day. Send an Electronic Greeting Card Day is celebrated annually on May 18th. The purpose of this is to inspire people to send electronic greeting cards. That's what it says on their website. Are you kidding me? Isn't that obvious already? Just by the fact that you have this date? I don't know. All right, let's see what else May 18th has given us. 1860, the United States presidential election. Abraham Lincoln wins the Republican Party presidential nomination over William H. Seward, who later becomes the United States Secretary of State. He's the reason we own Alaska. Seward, not Lincoln. 1917, World War I. The Selective Service Act of 1917 is passed, giving the President of the United States the power of conscription, basically being forced into the military. 1933, the New Deal. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signs an act creating the Tennessee Valley Authority. 1980, Mount St. Helen erupts in Washington, United States, killing 57 people and causing $3 billion in damages. I've talked about this on the other channel quite often. If you've watched my channels at all for any amount of time, you know I live in the Portland metro area, which if you go down any of our highways, you can see Mount Hood and Mount St. Helens. They're right here. They're part of our skyline here. Mount Hood has a very pointy top. Mount St. Helens looks just like it, but it looks like someone took a knife and cut the top off. So Mount St. Helens had been dormant since the 1850s. Then they started getting small earthquakes around the area on March 15th, 1980, indicating that the magma might have begun moving below the volcano. On March 20th, around 3:45 p.m., a 4.2 magnitude earthquake centered right below the volcano's north flank signaled the volcano's return to life after about 120 years. Over the next couple weeks, they kept getting more and more earthquakes, including one that was 5.1 on the Richter scale. Now, all the weirdness on Mount St. Helen continued to grow, including a couple new craters, things like that. And this prompted the governor of Washington to create a red zone, and anyone that was in the red zone had to leave. Whether you're a resident, owned property, working up there, whatever, you had to leave. That was on April 30th, just 18 days before the eruption. As the month progressed, people were getting more and more angry that they couldn't get back to their homes that were in the red zone and all this other stuff, so the governor and officials kind of caved and said, okay, you can go up, collect belongings, but you got to come right back out. So officials let carloads of people go up to their property, collect as much as they could, and get back as quick as they could. So in the early morning of May 17th, about 50 carloads of people went up to their property, collect whatever belongings they could in a short amount of time, and headed out of the red zone. Another trip was scheduled for 10 a.m. the next day, Sunday, May 18th. But the major eruption was at 8:32, so as you can imagine, plans for that were scrapped. Luckily, this was a Sunday too, because even though they had the red zone, loggers, or in my day we called them lumberjacks, were working Mount St. Helens. And if it would have been a Monday, they would have all been up there, red zone or not. Over the years, I've read a lot of different articles about how far people felt the eruption and how far away they were and they heard the eruption. Some people claim they were in Montana and they could actually hear the eruption. People obviously in Idaho, Washington, and Oregon felt the eruption because it came with seismic activities. Most people that saw the eruption and witnessed it and were close enough said they saw some of the strangest bolts of lightning coming out of this thing. Now, one strange thing did happen. Not everyone in the Portland metro area heard this. They could see it and a lot of people felt it in the ground, but the sound really didn't travel that well to Portland, Oregon, which is only 2 hours away. Actually, it's about 74 miles. It's 2 hours because a lot of winding roads up there. What's funny about that one is some people said they heard it, a lot of people said they didn't, and one explanation was the way the wind was blowing, the direction of the blast, and different atmospheric anomalies. My best friend's wife lived in Gresham when this happened. She was, I think, in 6th grade, 7th grade. And she said for a few days, they'd have to go out and hose down the car whenever they wanted to go someplace because everything was covered in ash. And those masks we had to wear for the pandemic, she remembers wearing those for weeks after the eruption. Whenever she went to school, out at recess, had to have your mask on. All in all, like I said, 57 people died, causing $3 billion in damages. 1990 in France, a modified TGV train achieves a new rail world speed record of 515 miles per hour, or kilometers per hour, 320 miles per hour. 2005, a second photo from the Hubble Space Telescope confirms that Pluto has 2 additional moons, Nix and Hydra. 2019, the United States presidential election, Joe Biden announces his presidential campaign. Movies released on May 18, 2001, Shrek. This was a great animated feature film, I guess you could say. It was an Academy Award winner. It got the Best Animated Feature Film. And it finds the ogre Shrek rescuing a princess in order to get his land back from an evil lord. Mike Myers did the voice of Shrek. He wasn't the first choice. Chris Farley was originally cast as Shrek and recorded a great deal of the dialogue, but after his death in 1997, Mike Myers was brought in to replace him. I mean, up until Finding Nemo, I think this was probably the best animated film we'd had in, 20 years or so. Just a great movie for all ages. My favorite character in the whole thing was the gingerbread man. He just killed me every time. One time in one of the movies, they were trying to rescue a princess and they couldn't reach something, so Pinocchio was leaned out there and they're all, "Tell a lie, Pinocchio, your nose will grow and Ginger can run over it and get it." And Ginger's standing on his back and he's all, "I don't know what to say is a lie." And they're all, "Say you're wearing women's underwear." And he's all, "I'm wearing women's underwear." And his nose didn't grow and Shrek's all, "Are you wearing women's underwear?" And shows Gingerbread Man lift up his pants and goes, "It's a thong." It's a great, great show. Yes, I don't do voices often, so sorry. Born on May 18th, 1970, Tina Fey, comedian, actress, writer, and producer who became the first female head writer at Saturday Night Live and achieved phenomenal success as a creator and lead actress in the hit NBC series 30 Rock, one of my favorite all-time sitcoms, 30 Rock. I love it. She's done pretty good. I'd like to go on about her, but I'm sweating in my office, so we're moving on. Died on May 18th, 1995, Elizabeth Montgomery. She starred as the witch Samantha Stevens on Bewitched and played in a whole bunch of movies. She's in movies like The Legend of Lizzie Borden, took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks or whatever. Most of her work was done on television in different series and different television movies. For several months, she had flu-like symptoms and kind of blew it off, and after she was done filming a show, she eventually went and got checked up. By the time she was diagnosed, the cancer had spread from her colon to her liver, and it was too late for a medical intervention. On May 18th, 1995, Elizabeth Montgomery died in her sleep at her home, 8 weeks after her diagnosis and 33 days after her birthday. She was only 62 years old. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.